The slap cracked through the Grand Marlowe ballroom so sharply that the string quartet stopped in the middle of a note. 300 guests turned at once. In the center of the marble floor stood Elena Brooks, a 27-year-old maid in a pale lavender uniform, one hand pressed against her burning cheek. Across from her, Cassandra Vale, the billionaire's glamorous fiancée, still had her hand raised, her diamond bracelet glittering beneath the chandeliers. No one moved. No one spoke. At the far end of the ballroom, billionaire Adrian Kingsley slowly lowered the champagne glass in his hand. The look on his face was not shock. It was fury. Cassandra did not see it yet. She was too busy smiling at the guests, certain everyone would accept whatever story she told next. She believed Elena was only a servant, someone who could be blamed, embarrassed, and thrown away before dessert. But less than 10 minutes later, Cassandra's engagement ring would be lying on the ballroom floor. And the reason Adrian ended their engagement had begun 3 weeks earlier, with a torn photograph hidden beneath a silver serving tray. Before we continue, tell me where you're watching from tonight. And if you believe every person deserves respect, subscribe and stay with this story, because what Elena discovered inside the Kingsley mansion would change more than one life. 3 weeks before the engagement gala, Elena arrived at the Kingsley estate before sunrise. The mansion stood on a private hill outside Newport, Rhode Island, overlooking the ocean like a palace carved from white stone. Elena had worked there for 8 months, long enough to know which floorboards creaked, which guests never said thank you, and which members of the household treated staff like human beings. Adrian Kingsley was one of the few who did. At 35, Adrian controlled a global hotel company worth billions, but he never snapped his fingers at employees. He knew the gardener's daughter had started college. He remembered that the cook's husband was recovering from surgery. And every morning when Elena brought coffee to his study, he looked up and said, "Thank you, Elena," as though her name mattered. To her, that kindness mattered more than he knew. Elena needed the job desperately. Her father had died 2 years earlier, leaving behind a struggling neighborhood boxing gym and nearly $80,000 in debt. Her 16-year-old brother, Matteo, still trained there after school, refusing to let the place close because it was the last thing their father had built. Every paycheck Elena earned went toward rent, utilities, and the gym's overdue mortgage. She told no one at the estate, especially not Cassandra Vale. Cassandra had entered Adrian's life 6 months earlier and moved into the mansion almost immediately. She was beautiful, famous, and followed online by millions who believed her charitable speeches and polished smile. But the staff knew another version of her. She left broken glasses on the floor and blamed the cleaners. She ordered meals, took one bite, and demanded the chef start over. She called Elena girl, even after hearing her name dozens of times. Still, Elena remained calm. She had learned from her father that dignity was not weakness. Sometimes dignity meant refusing to become cruel because someone else had chosen cruelty first. But Cassandra's behavior changed when she noticed Adrian speaking to Elena. It happened one rainy evening in the library. Adrian found Elena repairing the torn cover of an old children's book that had belonged to his late mother. Instead of scolding her for touching it, he sat beside her and explained that his mother used to read it to him whenever storms frightened him. Elena told him her father used to turn off the lights during storms and make shadow animals on the wall so she and Matteo would laugh instead of panic. Adrian smiled, an honest, unguarded smile Cassandra rarely saw. Cassandra stood unnoticed in the doorway. From that night forward, her contempt became personal. She inspected Elena's work after every shift. She accused her of wearing perfume to attract attention, even though Elena wore none. She deliberately spilled red wine across clean carpets and ordered Elena to scrub them on her knees. Adrian never witnessed these moments. Cassandra made sure of that. Then, one afternoon, Elena was polishing a silver tray in the upstairs sitting room when she found something stuck beneath its velvet lining. It was half of an old photograph. The picture showed Adrian's late mother standing outside the Kingsley Grand Hotel beside another woman whose face had been torn away. On the back, written in faded blue ink, were 6 words. "She knows what really happened that night." Elena stared at the message. Adrian's mother had died in a car accident 12 years earlier. The family never discussed it. Yet the handwriting looked recent. Before Elena could examine it further, footsteps approached. She slipped the photograph into her apron just as Cassandra entered. "What are you hiding?" Cassandra asked. "Nothing, ma'am." Cassandra crossed the room slowly, studying Elena's face. "You should understand something. Adrian is generous with staff because he feels sorry for people. Do not confuse pity with interest." Elena kept her voice level. "I never have." Cassandra stepped closer. "Good. Because the gala is in 3 weeks, and after that I will be Mrs. Kingsley. When that happens, this house will be run differently." Her smile was soft, but her eyes were not. That evening, Elena returned to her apartment and placed the photograph beneath a lamp. She enlarged the image on her phone and noticed a detail she had missed. The torn woman wore a boxing medal around her neck. Elena recognized it immediately. Her hands began to shake. The woman beside Adrian's mother had been Elena's own mother, who had disappeared when Elena was 7. The next morning, Elena went to the mansion determined to ask Adrian about the photograph. But before she reached his study, she heard Cassandra speaking behind a half-closed door. "By the night of the gala," Cassandra whispered into her phone, "the maid will be gone, Adrian will sign the papers, and no one will ever connect his mother's accident to us." Elena froze. Then the floorboard beneath her shoe creaked. The door swung open, and Cassandra stared directly at her. For one long second, neither woman moved. Cassandra stood inside Adrian's private records room with a phone pressed to her ear. Elena remained frozen in the hallway, one hand still resting against the wall where the loose floorboard had betrayed her. The softness disappeared from Cassandra's face. "I'll call you back," she said into the phone. She ended the call and stepped into the hallway, closing the door behind her. "How much did you hear?" Elena forced herself to breathe slowly. Her father had taught her that fear became dangerous only when it controlled your face. "I was looking for Mr. Kingsley." "That isn't what I asked." Cassandra moved closer until only a few inches separated them. Her expensive perfume filled the narrow hallway, but beneath it Elena could smell something sharper: panic. "I heard you mention the gala," Elena admitted. Cassandra's eyes searched hers. And that you wanted me gone." For a moment, Elena thought Cassandra might slap her right there. Instead, the woman smiled. It was the same beautiful smile she used for cameras, but there was nothing warm behind it. "You misunderstood a private conversation." "Then explain it." Cassandra's expression hardened. "You are in no position to question me." She reached for Elena's apron pocket. Elena stepped back instinctively. That small movement changed everything. Cassandra's gaze dropped to the outline of the torn photograph beneath the fabric. "What is in your pocket?" "Nothing that belongs to you." Cassandra lunged. Her fingers caught the edge of Elena's apron, but Elena twisted away and stepped behind a side table. A porcelain vase trembled between them. For the first time since Elena had met her, Cassandra looked genuinely afraid. "You found something in the sitting room, didn't you?" Elena said nothing. Cassandra's voice became lower. "Give it to me." "No." The word came out quietly, but it stopped Cassandra more effectively than a shout. "You should think about your brother," Cassandra said. Elena's blood went cold. Cassandra saw the reaction and smiled again. "Yes, Matteo, 16 years old. Trains every afternoon at Brooks Boxing Club. A charming little building, even if the bank is preparing to take it." "How do you know about him?" "I know everything about the people who work in this house. Especially the ones who forget their place." Elena's fear turned into something harder. "You looked into my family. I protect what belongs to me. Adrian is not property." Cassandra's hand struck the table so suddenly that the vase tipped. Elena caught it before it shattered. Even in that moment, she saved something valuable inside a house whose future owner was threatening her family. Cassandra noticed the irony and hated her for it. "Give me the photograph," she whispered, "and you can keep your job until the gala. After that, you'll receive enough money to save your father's gym." Elena stared at her. "So now you're bribing me. I'm offering you a way out. And if I refuse?" Cassandra stepped closer. "The bank will close the gym. Your brother will lose the only home he has left. And when I tell Adrian that you stole from his family, no household in this state will hire you again." Before Elena could respond, the sound of approaching footsteps echoed from the staircase. Adrian appeared at the end of the hallway. He looked from Cassandra's furious face to Elena's wrinkled apron. "What happened?" Cassandra transformed instantly. Her shoulders softened. Her voice trembled. Tears appeared in her eyes with astonishing speed. "I caught Elena inside the records room." Elena stared at her. "That's not true." Cassandra rushed into Adrian's arms. "She was going through private documents. When I confronted her, she threatened me." Adrian looked at Elena, confusion replacing concern. "Did you enter that room?" "No. But you were standing outside it." "I came to speak with you." "About what?" Elena felt the photograph against her side. She could show him. She could tell him about the phone call, his mother's accident, and the missing woman in the image. But she had only half a photograph and words overheard through a door. Cassandra would deny everything. Worse, Elena now knew Cassandra had investigated Matteo and the gym. She needed proof strong enough that Cassandra could not bury it. "I wanted to ask about additional work after the gala," Elena said. Cassandra lowered her face against Adrian's shoulder to hide her victorious smile. Adrian remained quiet. He did not look convinced, but he also did not press. "Elena, take the rest of the afternoon off," he said gently. "We'll discuss this tomorrow." Cassandra lifted her head. "You're not firing her." "I haven't heard enough to fire anyone." The irritation that crossed Cassandra's face lasted less than a second. Elena turned away, but Adrian called her name. "When my mother was alive," he said, "she trusted very few people. If you found anything connected to her, you can bring it to me." Elena stopped. Cassandra stopped breathing. Elena looked back at Adrian and realized he had noticed far more than either woman believed. "I'll remember that," she said. That night, Elena returned to Brooks' boxing club and locked the front door behind her. Matteo was hitting the heavy bag beneath the faded championship photographs that covered the walls. "You're home early," he said. Elena removed the torn photograph from her pocket. When Matteo saw it, his gloves dropped to his sides. "That's Mom." "I know." He turned it over and read the message. "She knows what really happened that night." Elena opened their father's old metal filing cabinet and searched through records he had forbidden them to touch as children. Beneath unpaid bills and yellowed tournament flyers, she found a sealed envelope addressed to Adrian Kingsley's mother. Inside was the missing half of the photograph. The two pieces matched perfectly. But the complete image revealed something Elena had not expected. Behind the two women stood Cassandra's father. And in his hand was the same silver Kingsley car key recovered from the scene of Adrian's mother's fatal crash. Before Elena could speak, someone pounded violently on the gym's front door. Then smoke began curling beneath it. "Elena, move!" Matteo grabbed his sister's arm and pulled her away from the entrance, just as orange flames climbed the wooden frame of the gym door. Someone had poured gasoline across the front steps. The old glass windows began cracking from the heat. Smoke rolled through the room, swallowing the faded championship posters and turning the ceiling lights into blurry yellow circles. Elena shoved the completed photograph into her jacket. "The back exit." Matteo ran toward the storage room while Elena grabbed their father's metal filing box. It was too heavy, but she refused to leave it behind. Whatever Cassandra's family was hiding had started long before tonight, and the truth might be buried somewhere inside those papers. They escaped through the alley seconds before part of the front ceiling collapsed. Elena fell to her knees, coughing, while Matteo called the fire department. Across the street, a black SUV sat beneath a broken street lamp. His headlights switched on. Then it disappeared around the corner. This wasn't an accident, Matteo said. Elena already knew. By the time firefighters controlled the blaze, most of Brooks' boxing club had been destroyed. The ring where their father had trained neighborhood children was buried beneath burned beams. The office was blackened. The old photographs were gone. Matteo stared through the broken doorway, tears cutting paths through the ash on his face. Dad built this with his own hands. Elena put an arm around him. Her own grief felt unbearable, but Cassandra wanted her frightened and desperate. She would not give her that satisfaction. A firefighter approached carrying a scorched envelope found beneath the filing cabinet. The edges were burned, but the handwriting remained visible. Elena opened it carefully. Inside was a letter written by her mother 12 years earlier. If anything happens to me or Margaret Kingsley, Richard Vale must be investigated. He altered the brakes on her car after she refused to sign control of the Kingsley hotels over to his investment group. I witnessed him take the vehicle key. I have photographs, repair invoices, and a recording. Thomas knows where the originals are hidden. Thomas was Elena's father. Below the letter was a handwritten set of numbers. Matteo recognized them first. That's Dad's old locker combination. The locker had not been inside the gym. After their father's death, several personal items had been moved to a private storage facility near the harbor. Elena called Adrian. He answered immediately. Elena, where are you? I heard there was a fire. The concern in his voice almost broke her composure. Adrian, I need you to listen carefully. Your mother's accident wasn't an accident. Silence. Then his voice dropped. What did you find? Elena told him about the photograph, the letter, Richard Vale, and Cassandra's threat. Adrian did not interrupt once. When she finished, he said, Do not go anywhere alone. I'm sending security. No. Cassandra knows I survived. If she sees your people arrive, she'll know I told you everything. She already tried to burn down your gym. And she failed. Adrian exhaled sharply. Elena, this isn't about proving you're brave. It's about finding proof before she destroys it. There was another silence. Finally Adrian said, Send me the storage address. I'm coming myself. An hour later, Elena, Matteo, and Adrian stood inside a narrow storage unit near Newport Harbor. In the back was their father's dented blue locker. The combination worked. Inside they found repair invoices, photographs of Richard Vale beside Margaret Kingsley's car, and a small digital recorder wrapped in plastic. Adrian pressed play. First came static. Then his mother's frightened voice filled the unit. Richard, I know what you did to the brakes. A man answered coldly. Then you should have signed the papers. Adrian went pale. But the recording did not end there. A younger woman spoke from somewhere nearby. Father, stop arguing. Just make sure neither of them can talk afterward. Elena and Adrian stared at each other. It was Cassandra's voice. Suddenly, the storage unit door slammed shut behind them. The lights went out. And from outside, Cassandra said, You should have accepted my offer when you had the chance. The storage unit filled with the smell of gasoline. Adrian switched on his phone's flashlight as Elena searched the walls. Matteo found an emergency release cable beside the door and pulled with both hands. The metal shutter rose just enough for them to crawl beneath it. Outside, Cassandra stood beside the black SUV, holding a lighter. Her smile vanished when Adrian emerged with the recorder in his hand. It's over, Cassandra. She lunged for the device, but Elena stepped between them. Cassandra escaped before the police arrived, yet she did not know Adrian had already copied the recording to his phone. Adrian could have cancelled the engagement gala immediately. Instead, the police asked him to continue as planned. Cassandra and her father believed the original evidence had burned inside the gym. If they felt safe, they might expose themselves. 3 nights later, 300 guests filled the Grand Marlowe ballroom. Cassandra entered in a silver gown, smiling as though nothing had happened. Her father stood near the stage, waiting for Adrian to sign documents transferring part of the Kingsley Hotel empire into a new investment partnership. Elena worked among the staff, carrying a tray while 2 detectives watched from the crowd. When Cassandra saw her, the color drained from her face. "You," she whispered. Elena stopped before the stage. "Your plan failed." Cassandra looked around and realized hundreds of people were watching. She needed to regain control. "This maid has been stalking me," she shouted. "She broke into my family's property and tried to destroy my engagement." Elena calmly removed the completed photograph and Margaret Kingsley's letter from her apron. Cassandra rushed forward and slapped her. The crack echoed beneath the chandeliers. Elena's cheek reddened, but she did not move. Adrian crossed the ballroom before Cassandra could strike again. He stepped between them and removed the engagement ring from Cassandra's finger. "You just attacked the woman who uncovered my mother's murder." The ballroom erupted in shocked whispers. Adrian handed the microphone to a detective. The recording played through the speakers, Richard Vale admitting he had altered Margaret's brakes, followed by Cassandra's younger voice ordering him to silence both witnesses. Richard ran toward an exit, but officers blocked him. Cassandra stared at Adrian. "You set me up." "No," Adrian replied. "I gave you one final opportunity to tell the truth. You chose cruelty again." He dropped the ring onto the marble floor. "Our engagement is over." Cassandra and her father were arrested before the guests left the ballroom. The evidence recovered from the locker connected them to Margaret's death and Elena's mother's disappearance. Elena's mother had survived under a protected identity and was reunited with her children months later after authorities reopened the case. Adrian rebuilt Brooks' boxing club and placed ownership permanently in Elena and Matteo's names. Elena later transformed it into a free training and safety center for vulnerable teenagers. She did not need Adrian to rescue her. He simply stood beside her while she rescued the truth. And in time, the respect between them became something deeper. Slowly, honestly, and without secrets. Remember this. Never mistake someone's silence for weakness. The person you humiliate today may be carrying the truth that brings your entire world down tomorrow. If Elena's courage moved you, subscribe to the channel, share this story, and comment. Would you have confronted Cassandra or waited for stronger proof?